Ancaster's unanswered shot. The murder of Carman Ward. Welcome back to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast. I'm your host, Jay Nicoll from Nicoll Investigations. Tonight, we delve into a case that shattered the quiet suburban calm of Ancaster, Ontario, just days before Christmas, almost a decade ago. It's a case that remains unsolved, leaving a family in agonizing limbo and a community searching for answers. We're talking about the cold case murder of Carman Ward. Ancaster, a picturesque community nestled west of Hamilton, is known for its peaceful neighborhoods and well-kept homes. But on a cold December night in 2015, that tranquility was brutally interrupted. Our story begins late on Monday, December 21st, 2015, at approximately 10:45 p.m. The Hamilton Police Service received urgent 911 calls from a residence on Miller Drive. Two separate males inside the home were reporting a terrifying home invasion. Carman Ward's sons, Brandon and Joshua, reported to be 22 and about 25 at the time by the Hamilton Spectator. Their father, Carman Ward, had been shot. The sheer terror and chaos of that moment are palpable in the fact that two distinct calls were placed. Desperate plea for help from a household under siege. Police and Emergency Medical Services, or EMS, responded swiftly to the Miller Drive address. Upon their arrival, they found Carman Ward, gravely wounded from a gunshot. He was immediately rushed to hospital in critical condition. Despite the rapid response and the tireless efforts of medical professionals, Carman Ward, at 60 years old, could not be saved. He tragically succumbed to his injuries. An autopsy was scheduled for the very next day, December 22nd, to officially determine the cause of his death. Also present in the home were Carman Ward's two sons. One, a 22-year-old male, sustained undisclosed injuries during the home invasion. He too was transported to the hospital for treatment, but was thankfully released later that night. The second son, unharmed, was identified as one of the individuals who made that initial frantic call to the police. Investigators confirmed that no other individuals were in the residence at the time of this violent intrusion. The fact that one son was injured suggests a struggle, confrontation that might hold crucial forensic clues. Carman Ward was a father, a man who lived with his two sons in that neat red brick home on Miller Drive. Poignant detail emerged from a Facebook post by Joshua in June 2014, where he lovingly wrote, "Happy Father's Day to the realest friend I have." This simple message paints a picture of a loving relationship, a stark reminder of the profound personal loss that transcends the clinical details of a police report. Throughout this agonizing ordeal, the Ward family has demonstrated unwavering cooperation with the Hamilton Police Service. This level of assistance has been publicly acknowledged by the police, who have stated they are satisfied with the level of cooperation received from both the sons and their neighbors. Their continued engagement with law enforcement speaks volumes about their desperate desire for answers and justice. The crime scene. The crime scene itself, a one-story red brick home in a quiet, well-kept neighborhood, stood in stark contrast to the violence that had unfolded within its walls. Despite the incident occurring just days before Christmas, the house bore no festive decorations when police were conducting their meticulous investigation. In the driveway, a silver Dodge Intrepid, conspicuously missing its gas cap cover, sat alongside a police forensics truck, a visual testament to the thoroughness of the evidence collection. A single silent bouquet of flowers, without a note, was placed respectfully at the end of the driveway. Beneath the police tape, a quiet community tribute to the shock and grief. From the very beginning, Hamilton police quickly assessed this home invasion as a targeted attack. This determination is a critical initial finding, immediately shifting the investigative focus away from a random act of violence towards a pre-existing connection or specific motive involving the perpetrators and the household. Detective Sergeant Bill Anderson spokesperson for the Hamilton Police Service, confirmed this belief in the attack's targeted nature, but understandably refrained from elaborating on the specific motive. This withholding of details is a common investigative strategy designed to protect ongoing leads and prevent suspects from altering their behavior. Anderson also declined to confirm reports circulating at the time that the Miller Drive house was known to police, again exercising caution in public disclosure during the ongoing stages of the investigation. Up next, the investigation. The investigation. In the days following the incident, police conducted an extensive investigation at the scene. A significant development was the execution of both a drug warrant and a criminal code search warrant at the residence after the home invasion. While police confirmed they searched for drugs, Detective Sergeant Anderson would not explicitly state that drugs were the motive behind the attack, nor would he confirm if these warrants were directly related to the home invasion investigation. However, the fact that police had sufficient grounds to obtain a drug warrant strongly implies they possess intelligence pointing toward the presence of illicit substances or drug-related activities at the property. This, combined with the targeted designation, creates a compelling, albeit unconfirmed, narrative that the home invasion was likely connected to illicit drug activities, whether for theft, debt, or other reasons. Crucially, despite the execution of these warrants, none of the residents of the home were arrested or detained, indicating that they were primarily viewed as victims or witnesses, rather than perpetrators of any illicit activity at that time. Anderson also maintained discretion regarding specific evidence recovered, including whether a meat cleaver was used during the home invasion. So it's not clear drugs were the motive, given Carman, who went by the nickname Bud, had recently also won big at a casino. The Hamilton Police Service's investigation was focused on identifying and apprehending the perpetrators. Current information indicates they are actively searching for 2 male suspects. Both individuals were described as wearing dark clothing, and critically, their faces were covered during the incident. This deliberate concealment significantly complicates the identification process, forcing investigators to rely heavily on other forms of evidence beyond direct visual recognition. Hamilton Police Staff Sergeant Jim Callender says the attackers were both in their 20s and had slim builds, with one about 6 feet tall and the other roughly 5 foot 6 inches. Both had their faces covered and wore dark, long-sleeved uppers, darker black pants, and black gloves. It was very distinct that they either by chance had the same clothing on, or they were very uniform in the clothes that they were wearing, he says. The home is located across the street from the since demolished Maple Lane Public Elementary School, and security footage from the area identified a vehicle of somewhat interest, an extended cab pickup truck that was likely light silver or light gray, raising the possibility of a third person being involved. However, a particularly vital piece of information released by investigators is that one of the suspects may have sustained facial injuries during the home invasion. This details a potential key identifier for law enforcement and remains a crucial element in their ongoing public appeals. Such an injury would have been noticeable to anyone who encountered the individual shortly after the crime, or to any medical professional who might have treated them. It also strongly suggests a physical struggle occurred within the home, potentially leaving behind valuable forensic evidence, such as blood or skin cells, that could link a suspect to the scene. The invasion began with an altercation with one son in the garage and moved into the kitchen where Carman, reported to have a black belt in jiu-jitsu, tried to protect his sons and was shot with a handgun. The killers also had a larger bladed weapon, like a meat cleaver, axe, or hatchet, and Brandon suffered cuts to his head during the attack. Callender says police believe the culprits were familiar with the home and who lived there. He says it's unclear if drugs played any role in the robbery-style home invasion, given they might just as likely have been after money, electronics, and other valuables. It was definitely based on the fact that the suspects were there to obtain something from the residents there. The question of motive, as we've discussed, remains central. The targeted nature of the attack implies a pre-existing connection. The execution of the drug warrant, while not explicitly confirmed as the motive, strongly suggests a primary investigative theory related to illicit substances. If the motive is rooted in the criminal underworld, witnesses may be reluctant to come forward due to fear of retaliation. The Hamilton Police Service continues to appeal to the public for any information. Investigators are particularly interested in hearing from anyone in the area who may have video surveillance footage from the night of the attack, or any other details, no matter how seemingly insignificant. The Major Crime Unit can be contacted directly at 905-546-3829, or individuals can provide information anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Police have consistently emphasized that no piece of information is too trivial. Investigative challenges. The murder of Carman Ward has remained an unsolved cold case for years, a testament to the inherent challenges faced by investigators. The mass assailants severely limit eyewitness identification. However, that detail about the potential facial injury from one suspect remains a glimmer of hope, a unique identifier that could still lead to a breakthrough. The targeted nature of the attack, while seemingly narrow in the scope, also presents complexities. If the motive is rooted in illicit activities, witnesses may be reluctant to come forward. And then there is the passage of time. Years have now passed since Carman Ward's murder in December 2015, and despite ongoing efforts, no arrests have been made. As time progresses, memories can fade, witnesses may move away, and physical evidence can degrade. However, the Hamilton Police Service maintains a steadfast commitment to these unsolved cases, affirming that all unsolved cases remain open until arrest is made and charges are laid. They recognize that the dynamics surrounding a crime can change over time. Fears of retaliation, the might of initially silenced witnesses can diminish, potentially making individuals more willing to come forward with information they previously withheld. Up next, the human cost. The human cost. The murder of Carman Ward inflicted an immeasurable human cost. His two sons, Joshua and Brandon, endured a terrifying home invasion and witnessed the violent events that unfolded. The sudden and violent loss of their father, compounded by the terrifying circumstances, represents a deeply personal tragedy that continues to affect their lives. For families of cold case victims, the lack of resolution transforms grief into an ongoing open wound. The inability to understand fully why their loved one was taken, and the knowledge that the perpetrators remain at large, prevents true healing. The absence of justice means the perpetrators are free, denying the victims' families a sense of accountability and peace that an arrest and conviction can bring. The Hamilton police have repeatedly emphasized that no piece of information is too trivial. This message is a direct appeal to anyone who might possess even seemingly insignificant details, highlighting that such fragments, when combined with other evidence, can often be the crucial link needed to break a case wide open. They have actively sought video footage from neighbors, understand that surveillance recordings can provide invaluable visual evidence. The ongoing call for community involvement underscores a belief that someone, somewhere, holds a key to unlocking the truth behind Carman Ward's murder. The murder of Carman Ward in Ancaster, Ontario, on December 21, 2015, remains an active and unsolved cold case. Despite the passage of years, the perpetrators of this violent home invasion have not been identified or apprehended. The Hamilton Police Service maintains an unwavering dedication to pursuing all offenders until they are brought to justice, emphasizing their commitment to keeping the memories of victims alive, even in long-standing cold cases. His professional resolve provides a crucial sense of hope and continuity for families like the Wards. This episode serves as a renewed call to action, urging you, our listeners, to revisit the details of this tragic event. Remember the targeted nature of the attack and the description of the two masked male suspects. Crucially, the possibility that one of these suspects sustained a facial injury during the incident remains a significant and potentially unique identifier. If you observed anything, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential, please come forward. The power of information, even years after a crime, cannot be overstated. New leads can emerge, loyalties can change, and a seemingly insignificant detail from the past can suddenly gain immense relevance. Anyone with any knowledge is strongly encouraged to contact the Hamilton Police Major Crime Unit, 905-546-3829, or to provide information anonymously through Crime Stoppers, a 1-800-222-TIPS. Continued public vigilance and cooperation are essential. It's through the collective memory and conscience of the community that long-awaited justice for Carman Ward and his family can ultimately be achieved, finally bringing some measure of peace to a tragedy that has endured for too long. Because every case deserves answers, and every victim deserves justice. Subscribe now to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. Episodes available wherever you get your podcasts.